the soil that bug lands on is good and robust, then that bug is going to be not that big of a deal.
Okay.
So some things that you can do to help, one basic thing that you can do, and we've seen this reported, we've seen this studied, vitamin D, vitamin D levels. If those are optimal, that provides amazing protection, especially in your respiratory system, upper respiratory system, sinus infections, colds, flus, that kind of thing. If your vitamin D level is optimal, that provides amazing immune support. So, even through this whole last 18 months, something that they found is people that didn't do as well, or that got more serious, complications and everything, their vitamin D levels were in the tank. So vitamin D, that's in my cupboard all the time. It's been in my cupboard since I started school, started learning about it. That's a go-to for like my kids if they're starting to come down with something. Boom, load them up for 7 to 10 days with vitamin D. It really turns things around.
I'm going to do a teaser. We are going to get into all of our little concoctions, all of our little secrets and how to really boost our immune system up next week. But say if for an example, mask versus no mask. We know that the virus can infect you through your eyes. We know that the majority of people are not trained in proper mask usage. In fact, if you actually look at the how people should use masks, in a hospital setting, they're changed out multiple times throughout the day. And so carrying around a mask in your purse that has bacteria and virus in your purse, and you're putting it on your fingers, and you're touching doorknobs, and then peeling it off, both sides, these are issues because we have not been properly trained in the use of the mask. But masks will also prevent us from coming in contact with some of the virus that our body needs to come in contact with to recognize and fight off.
Yeah.
So the point being is that, say if all of a sudden, like I touch my nose like that, and I have a lot of virus on my hand, someone just coughed all over my hand, I'm going to have a huge inoculation rate into my nasal cavity versus walking through a grocery store where, the circulation of air is spreading stuff around, but it's not like a huge hit like that.
Right.
So if we have an inoculation rate which the body can handle, that would be seen as a good thing, correct?
Yeah, sure.
And why is that?
Well, because everything starts to get into place. Our innate, like mucosal level immune system starts to fight things off.
Sure.
That recruits T cells, that recruits B cells. Our body starts to build this, what we call a non-specific immune system response.
Correct.
So what happens in that non-specific immune system response is you kind of start to build this team that is able to fight off a wide variety of pathogens, right? That might be in like a similar family. I'll just talk about variants, right? These Delta variant, Lambda variant, Gamma variant, whatever. There's slight variations in the genetic code of this SARS-CoV-2 virus. Well, if you have this robust, non-specific immune system response, then it's not going to matter what play that team calls. Like, we're going to be able to defend against any one of those players, right? When you bring in like immunization or vaccination therapy, that's going to drive the production of a very specific immune system response. So then, if you're exposed to a variant, that your team, your immune system that's been kind of created by that inoculation is very specific. So if you're only set up to be able to defend against one play, and that team calls a different play, you're in trouble.
But the good thing is that your team, your immune system will also build up a memory to everything that it has come in contact with.
Right.
In fact, I saw a recent study where it was, they were talking about how long would someone have an immune system response to, different pathogens that have come through. And it was, I can't remember the exact sickness that they were studying, but it was like 20, 30 years.
Sure.
They could still detect antibodies, which kind of hover in your body and they get activated. If all of a sudden you come in contact with that virus again, and all of a sudden you have your immune system recognizes that, hey, we've seen this thing before, we already know what to do, so let's ramp up. And there again is that in our immune system, we have different parts of our body, you know, whether we have a cut on our arm, whether we have, you know, say, you know, you have hemorrhoids, you have, you know, an open bleeding area in the rectal area, or say if the you know, the openings to your nose and your mouth and your eyes and your ears, all of these areas have similar but also different types of immune system cells that are in tune with the area that they're covering. And so you're going to have more immune system, you know, in the rectal area in order to deal with E. coli versus, you know, in the nasal area, you're going to have a different type of immune system that recognizes the different cold and flu and viruses and bacteria that we come in contact with just regular breathing.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and honestly, there's so much I think that we just don't know about the immune system, right? I had a professor say one time, and that phrase has stuck with me: the more I know I don't know. And when we come in and like try to play God almost and say, you know, we know everything about this, and this is how it works, and the science is settled, and this is how you do it. I think you're on pretty shaky ground.
Right.
So you're right. We know that, you know, our mouth, our eyes, you know, any kind of opening into the body, we have immune system function there, and that comes back to that natural immunity, right? When we're exposed to something through those natural normal routes, whether it's on the skin, something you breathe in, or something that you get in your eye, our body is set up to be able to fight that off. And to build up memory and to be able to fight it off in the future.
Now, if we become symptomatic, that's a whole nother story. Say if we don't have the immune system built up, we're too weak, or if we, say if Dr. Dan's immune system is very, very strong, but all of a sudden, you know, someone, you know, spits in my face or my mouth or whatever, you know, that might be too much for the body to overcome. And so then we become symptomatic, and you know, depending on the symptoms and status of our health, that's where we can get into where we might need supportive medication, or you know, even going into the ER and the ICU and that sort of thing. And let those guys that specialize in that next level of care try to take care of us and save our lives.
Sure.
But you know, for the initial, what next week we're going to talk about is, you know, some of our little secrets that we've, you know, done. I can't remember the last time that I've actually had any sort of, you know, sickness at all, and you know, primarily throughout the whole COVID season, very rarely wore a mask at all. And saw lots of patients. I know that you were in the, you know, that clinic.
I was testing people for 10 hours a day. You know, I'd walk up to a car, test 6 or 8 people at a time. Kids are all sick and snotty in the back seat, coughing on me, sneezing in my face. And we had to test ourselves every week. And
I don't think you ever got sick.
Never got a positive test. Never got sick. I was fine. And so, you're right.
Now the positive test also, you have to have enough of that, you know.
That's a whole other.
Float around and you get to detect it. But so anyway, Doc, we're gonna talk next week about some of those really interesting things that we hold near and dear to ourselves in order to really boost our immune system up. But this week we're just going to talk about the immune system, how it still functions, even though the World Health Organization says it has nothing to do with herd immunity. They're full of it. Herd immunity has been around for years and years and years, and will not go away just because we're getting sold a bill of goods. Vaccination will end everything if we just reach this, you know, magical number of people getting vaccinated. And that's a whole other topic in itself. Doc, until next week, Dr. Alan Bradford, and I am Dr. Dan Graham, and we will be seeing you next week. You're right here at Downtown Gilbert Healthcare.
See you.